culture. Everything is permitted.
Welcome to episode 91 of Everything is Permitted here at Wade's Comic Madness. I'm your captain and host, Julian Brown, alongside my co-hosts, the Man of Steel, Matt Reppert, and the Master of Puns, Brittany Tomes. How we doing?
Well, I drummed so hard to our music, I lost the cap to my pen. So I'm just holding it awkwardly until I find it.
You look like you're going to stab somebody with it.
I do.
Like,
I feel like I'm going to stab.
Come play with us, Danny.
Forever and ever. And ever.
You know how much this
Dr.
podcast
Sleep.
loves The Shining and Dr. Sleep. Oh, boy. This week, we have a really fun show planned for you. Raya and the Last Dragon has been released both in theaters, if you're braving that right now and have been vaccinated.
Brave.
Brave. And Disney Plus Premier Access, so pay $30, bring the family, watch the film. That's what we did. And we have our review of the film for you guys, so we're going to get into that a little bit later. Also, we've been asking for it for a couple of weeks now, Melanie's point of view of her climb to the weather station, the events that happened when she got there.
that Jennifer Connelly heavy episode.
I always hear like harp music, and I'm like, Melanie, Jennifer Connelly.
We need to get Brittany and Jennifer Connelly wifeyed up. We got to find a way to make it happen.
It's okay.
No?
Let's get her a Jennifer Connelly poster, and we'll call it a day.
She has that vision.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's okay.
I'm like way too young for that.
Did Melanie succeed in getting accurate weather projection? Did Snowpiercer make their pickup time? We have all the answers for you in our Snowpiercer Many Miles from Snowpiercer review coming up. Also, if you're wondering where our review of the WandaVision finale is, well, we actually just recorded that before we started recording this. Look no further than our podcast feed. It's being released at the same time we recorded our March bonus pod, which, by the way, are now free to everyone. Bonus pods are no longer a patron exclusive, so we will still record once a month for those for you guys, but they will be for the rest of the world.
For the fans.
For the fans. And then
the engine.
We have for the engine.
For the
eternal.
Engine Eternal.
So we have the review of the finale and, of course, the entire season, a finale and an episode where I say the word series way too much. Plus our thoughts on how that might set up Doctor Strange 2 and much, much more. But before we get into all of that, Brittany, how can people support our show?
Well, for those wonderful people that aren't already patrons, but like us, like our puns, love all the amazing things we do on social media, you can head over to everythingispermitted.com, hit our drop-down tab, select Patreon, and it'll shoot you over to our Patreon page. There you can select the $2 a month tier or the $5 a month tier. Either way, you get access to awesome bonus content, cool stickers that stick on everything. Like, literally, we had so much snow, and it's still on my car.
Yeah.
On my laptop, on everything.
Part of my bumper is falling off, but my stickers are still there.
So there you go. You can buy our stickers to keep your bumper on your car if you want. Just line them up and just like, boom, you're done. Why pay a mechanic when you can buy 10 stickers from us? Anyway.
Patch your hole in your tire with a sticker.
If that didn't win you over, we also give shout-outs to our $5 tier patrons at the beginning of every episode. So if you just want to hear your name read aloud by us because you love us so much, do that.
Indeed.
It's worth $5.
It is worth $5. And I'm going to have Matt say some thank yous to those very awesome people.
Can I beatbox in the background?
Oh, my God. Jesus Christ.
Oh, no, it's like that bad iced tea commercial for Car Shield. Have you guys not seen that commercial?
I don't think
you
I've
don't watch
seen
enough daytime television.
No, I don't.
Ice-T like the dude?
Yes,
or the
as an
drink?
Ice-T
Okay.
the dude. Him and Chris Berman are doing these shitty commercials for Car Shield that like get extra insurance for your car that'll cover these things. Basically, we're just going to steal your money. And Ice-T is one of the spokespersons for it. It's like they're doing awful beatboxing in the background, and he has like a really bad line in it, and it's just awful.
I was hoping he'd
There's
like
a
trip
meme.
and accidentally drop iced tea on your car windshield, and you're like, oh God, how am I ever going to protect from this?
Oh, my God. All right, well, on that note.
Do you want the beat or no?
No, I'm good.
I like the beat and shouting.
Oh, man.
Name that movie.
It sounds familiar. I can't.
Shouting.
What is it?
Star Trek Beyond.
Oh.
I haven't watched
I
Star
didn't
Trek Beyond
recognize
yet.
that quote.
when she's like playing around with the music and Scotty's like, what's this? Is that a radio? And she's like, yeah, I like the beats and shouting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love that line.
All right. Well, once again, so we'll give thanks to our Lord and Saviors, Billy Pete, Heather Reppert, Rob Migliaccio, Michael
Happy
Cox.
birthday!
Woo!
Woohoo! Michael Cox, Nikki Veazey, Matt Moore, Cabria Wimbush, Rob Carter, the McClinton brothers, Kyle and Connor. I couldn't think of a wrestling thing this week.
That's okay.
And our newest patron, Nick Castellano, who I personally know.
Yeah. He upgraded too. He was at 2 and then he was like, I'm going to make it $5 bills.
He wanted his name read. It's amazing.
Because we're dorks like that.
I did see the McClintons in the shop yesterday, and they were jamming to the music I was playing.
Nice. That's awesome.
Was it country music?
No. Oh. What was it?
Was it wrestling themes?
Oh, it was Cake by the Ocean. There was like really...
Oh my God.
It was like a string of embarrassing white people pop songs came on, and like I was like just, jamming around doing work and stuff, and then like, I even told people, I was like, I don't, like, you just jam to it, and then next thing I know, we were all talking, and they just started like actually dancing to it. It was great.
I keep on hoping we'll eat cake by the
That song is
ocean.
not about cake, kids.
Don't
not.
Don't look it up, though.
Guys, if you can't support us financially, we would still love your support in the form of a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you do listen to your shows. It would mean a lot. It helps us get our show out there to more people. More listeners mean maybe more patrons and more fun things we can do, like more bonus pods. And I'm pretty sure after my second shot, I'm going back to the movies. Like, I'm saying, like, my second shot.
Julian's like, let's all go to the movies.
I'm going to play the song on the thing and everything. I think we're renting out a theater.
You can literally show up and be like, guess who's back?
Back again.
I will give somebody a virtual high five, though, if they do join our Patreon.
There you go.
I feel like I don't know if you guys said it, but I feel like an opportunity is missed to say, like, guess who's vaccinated? When you go in whatever.
Like the joke I just made?
Yeah. Well, no, you didn't say vaccine. You just said,
I said, guess who's vac again, like vaccinated?
No, but you didn't say vaccinated. You said vac again, though.
No.
I thought you were saying.
Well, because you have to get 2 shots, so it's vac again for another one.
Vac.
And then it was funny because we're on our way back to the theaters. It was like funny on 3 levels. It's less funny.
maybe
funny
on one level.
No,
I don't know about
it's less
3
funny
levels.
when I have to like explain it, because then that's embarrassing. The play on words was eloquent. Guess who's back?
I just like
vaccinated.
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's why I'm copying you, so you're happy.
Oh.
It's okay. I'll make a TikTok of it later.
I was shaming on 2 levels.
It was. It was indeed. Guys, let's get into some rants and raves. Who's got something?
I got a rant. Matt's joke sucked. I'm just kidding. It didn't.
Jeez.
It didn't. I was just trying.
Wow. God damn. All right.
No, I just can't think of anything.
Next, she's gonna walk into my house and slap my wife and kick my dog.
No. I would never do that. Heather, if you're listening, I would never do that.
All right.
And the dog, if you're listening. I would never do that.
I don't know if it's inappropriate to go all the way back to the 90s with that. I think it was the Jerky Boys skit, and it was so good. But I don't know if it holds up and if I can really talk about it. I'm debating whether to. Because you mentioned "kick my dog." Do you remember that?
The only where that line comes from is an interview with I forget his name, but he was the head of the Hell's Angels, the actual Hell's Angels, and he has dogs like this.
Oh,
his name's like Sonny something like that. I forget, but
no.
But he was telling a story about, because there was this writer who wrote a book about the Hell's Angels years ago. And he was like really ingrained with them. And there was this thing that happened where basically this Hell's Angel and his wife got into an argument. So the guy slapped his wife, and then the dog like bit him. So he kicked the dog. And this writer stood up and said, "Only punks slap their wives and kick their dogs." And they almost got into like a huge, this guy telling the story that he goes, "We pulled them off of each other because he was a good writer. We didn't want him to get killed." So, but yeah, that's what I always tell people. I'm like, that's how you're going to disrespect me, huh? You're going to come into my house and slap my wife and kick my dog.
yeah. I'm just thinking of the Jerky Boys.
Yeah, I know you're thinking of Jerky Boys.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of that fruit jerky from the movie.
Oh boy, that nasty fruit jerky. All right, Matt, do you have a rant or a rave?
I'm not going to recall it a rant or a rave, but it drives me insane. So I know obviously people in my life, but And generally, if I know you well enough to recommend a movie or TV show to you, it is because I have a very good idea that you're going to like it. I don't just out of the blue just recommend, like, I don't recommend anime to people. I don't, I'm not like, oh, watch this anime, like, because I know most people aren't going to like that crap.
Yeah.
So
meanwhile, I'm like, you want to watch something fucked up? Promise Neverland.
Funny story. Heather and I for so long I was pestering her to watch Resident Alien, because I had watched the first 2 episodes and I was just nonstop. I was like, you need to watch it. It is so funny. You're going to love it. And she finally, like, I think I annoyed her to the point of concession the other night. And literally we watched all 5 episodes that were available, and she loves the show now. And then I also got her to start watching The Boys on Amazon Prime. I'm like, I haven't seen it, but I've heard great things about it and everything like that. She's really into that. And she admitted, she goes like, I don't know why, like, I don't just take your advice when you recommend something. I'm like, I know what you like. I know what people generally will like. And so, as I said, if I recommend a movie or TV show to you, it is a very, like, good chance that you're going to really dig it. I did it with Man in the High Castle years ago with people. I recommended that show to everybody that I knew.
It's like when I
still haven't watched
everybody.
season 4.
You need to.
You know what happened?
Life.
Yeah, actually,
100% life.
I don't need to see Nazis winning the war when they're already kind of.
That's exactly what happened. I finished season 3, I think, pre-COVID, and then COVID happened, and white supremacy started, like, happening
And
in, like, the
like,
light of
"No,
day.
thanks."
And I'm like, I can't do Man in the High Castle right now. Like, I'm going to. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. I don't think I can mentally take that.
Remember when I harassed everybody to watch She-Ra?
Yeah,
It's because I know.
I still need to
good for
watch that.
everybody.
I still need to watch
do.
that.
It's on
so
Netflix.
good.
Yeah, I know.
So
I've just
good.
like, I'm
It's
so behind
okay.
on shows.
Yeah. No, you're generally right. I think the only thing that you've ever recommended to me, not because I didn't like it to say, but again, like Life and Time, like I have like The Witcher 3 sitting in my game deck right now, and I just don't have the time to play it. But one day.
It's just a long game.
It's okay. It'll be out on like the PlayStation 8, so I have all the
You're
time
gonna be like,
in the world.
finally, there's time. My kids are in school now.
CD Projekt Red will be like, we made Witcher 3. Like us again. Here it is again, guys.
No, all my time is going to be taken up in May very soon when the Mass Effect Legendary Edition comes out. Yeah.
I did kind of want to get that damn thing with the helmet, but the helmet ain't gonna fit on my head.
I don't know if it's going to fit on my head. I'm going to bring it to the show when it comes, and maybe the only head it'll fit on is Brittany's.
I got a tiny ass head, so it's gonna fit.
Okay, well, that's me.
I feel like I rave about, or I rant about this every like couple of weeks. So I'm
Oh,
like
gosh.
debating on whether I want to rant about it.
Is it Destiny?
Like me and Best
No,
Buy.
it's not Destiny.
Shitty
It is
people?
a video game. No, it's not shitty. It's a video game. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it as a whole. I have a rant. Next gen consoles. I almost wish at this point in time that the new consoles hadn't come out. I feel like it has been a waste of money so far.
Because there's not as many new titles.
There's nothing. Like when you say that there is nothing. Even everybody at Sony just did another State of Play, and people are like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Halo's not coming out till what, like September for Xbox.
I think
Cyberpunk
I think it got
kind of
pushed.
didn't happen for consoles.
Well, there isn't, and because I was talking about this with somebody not too long, there aren't really that many like next gen games. Like,
No.
only for the next gen console. They only work on next gen consoles. Like, because I was talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, there are. I said, honestly, like one of the only games I can think of off the top of my head is like the Medium, for example. Like you cannot get it on the last
Right.
gen consoles.
and like Horizon Zero Dawn, we're still waiting for
Like,
that.
I don't
they didn't
even think we
announce
have
when it's
a
coming out.
date. Yeah.
It was just like shown.
Kenna and the Bridge of Spirits was supposed to be a launch title. It's coming out in fucking August. Like, dude, if you weren't ready to launch, I know that you were being pressured by the people to launch, but like if you didn't have games, and I know COVID fucked that shit up pretty hardcore. Just delay. Did we not learn our lesson from CD Projekt Red just now?
Or Disney
and
Plus?
Cyberpunk? So,
No, when they first released, remember they only had the Mandalorian as new content.
I watched Jeff Goldblum.
oh, that's right. You
No,
were,
but that was
you
like
were the
the
one
big-
person on earth that liked
I was
that.
gonna
I'm
say,
sorry.
That
no, I was
show's
just gonna say
amazing.
that was the huge argument with Disney Plus. Remember, it was just the Mandalorian they had, and right after that ended, people were like, "There is nothing. It's just older Disney stuff."
Right.
So, and then months later, they started rolling stuff out, but they were like,
But there
I already
more content
dismissed.
is coming.
I would have been more than happy at this point to remain on my PS4 Pro for another year had I known that gaming would be this barren right now, because I'm running out of things to play. Like, if we're coming down to it, like Warzone right now is not, I was going to just rant about Warzone. Like, Warzone is not in a good place right now. Raven took over for Infinity Ward. So there's no gun balance. It's an awful place to play right now. Like, it took us 2 weeks for the new season to squeak out our first win.
Well, whenever we do crossplay and Destiny, you and I
yeah,
can hop
and I think
together
that's going to maybe be the thing. But right now, it's like, what's the next game I'm going to get? I'm going to get Mortal Kombat so we could do
I already downloaded that.
Yeah, our tournament. Like, that's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get the show. But again, like, that's not till April. Like, it's preseason baseball right now. Like, give me the show now. I'll play that. But I got to wait for April to that. I don't get Mass Effect, which isn't even going to be a next-gen release either.
Also by the, like, slightly piggybacking, fuck game companies for charging $10 more for the next gen.
Oh, dude.
I
Like, the
like
show,
the free upgrades.
if I want the show for the Series X, I got to pay like $69.99 for it. And that pisses me off, because if it was only for the next gen, I might in my tiny mammal brain understand and go, okay, they made it for next gen.
Brain.
They made it for next gen only, even though that whole argument is bullshit. I'll tell you that right. And one of these days we're going to have to do an episode talking about game prices, and I'm going to completely lose my shit.
That's understandable.
If I had to rate the current console generation right now of next gen, like if it's in its first couple of months, I would probably give it a 1. Like, it is that bad.
The things that I do like about the next gen is I like the load times for the game.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Destiny, like it like loads up like that,
That's
and it's
fantastic.
cool. And it's cool as hell that it does that.
Yep.
And I really enjoy that.
But that's not new games.
No, I totally understand.
Miles was awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't even finished Assassin's Creed. I stopped playing it. It was boring. Like, I've done it in 1,000 other Assassin's Creed games before. There was nothing special about Valhalla. Am I going to go and finish it at some point? Yeah, but it's just like, I wanted something really new. And even though Miles was amazing, there was nothing new about that either.
Well, yeah, because you
It
already
also
played
wasn't
Spider-Man.
a very long game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I honestly have just been going through my backlog of stuff, or like getting things that have been on sale that I've been meaning to play just to like stream, because I don't have as much time. But as far as new games are concerned, I don't think, aside from Cyberpunk, that's the only one that was new that
Little
I didn't
Nightmares
play.
2.
Well, Little Nightmares 2, I'm playing this week. I'm streaming.
Had Cyberpunk not been a complete fucking mess of a situation, we might not be having this conversation, because I'd probably still be playing that. But
It is funny that you mentioned that, because obviously I'm a huge gamer. I own a ton of video games, etc. But it's because normally I'm normally like kind of very aware of video game release dates. At least I kind of remember the months they come out, like not always the day, but I'm like, all right, in April I got this, in May I got this. And right now, like I have Mass Effect pre-ordered, and that's pretty much it. I'm just kind of like about most of the stuff. And I know COVID has played a huge role in this, which, I mean, that's another thing that it's helped ruin for,
I feel like the COVID argument is valid
to a point.
But then you watch movies that we just watched, like Raya, which was made completely from home. So, and not delayed either.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that they could do this movie. I know there is a lot that goes into gaming, but you're telling me that you can't get people the rigs that they send for animated movies and get them. Oh, dude, of course.
The video game companies will not spend the money.
No.
They will not spend the money because, and once again, this could be an entire episode on its own, but literally we could have a discussion about the terrible, terrible things the video game industry has done and what it continues to do in the name of profit. So
yeah. I feel like we have an episode coming up just for this topic. So
yeah.
Without further ado, we don't have a permitted minute this week because there was just not a lot of news. So 2 weeks from now, we'll have a lot of news. I'm guessing, I hope, maybe, possibly. We'll
Definitely.
see. Yeah.
I know Bethesda's acquisition is Betty Scale, but officially completed now. So
Awesome. Good stuff. Let's get into our Snowpiercer Many Miles from Snowpiercer Review.
Attention, Snowpiercer passengers.
Brittany mouthing along.
Matt, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on this episode.
So, all right, I talked to Brittany about this. I I enjoyed this episode, but this was also an episode that every TV show seems to have at some point. The episode where a character is by themselves and has the hallucinations of like at least
Zuko alone, Korra alone.
Yeah, like that has any dramatic TV series. Let me say that. Has the character is all by themselves, isolated, and starts having the hallucinations about the demons of their past and whatnot. Now, don't get me wrong, I dug this episode because it showed the relationship between Melanie and Wilford and all that stuff like that. And, anything that gives me more Sean Bean as Wilford is certainly not a bad thing.
The thirst is real.
I don't thirst for Sean Bean, weirdly enough. But anyway.
You should.
I should. No, I thirst for Michael Fassbender. That's my male thirst.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So, but yes, I dug the episode, but once again, it was one of those things that, and also, by the way, congratulations for stealing the imagery from The Thing with the woman with the slit wrists, guys. That was, as soon as I saw that, I just was like, God damn it.
The whole episode was basically The Thing,
Yeah.
but without The Thing.
Yeah.
That makes any sense.
But yeah, but I did dig the episode, and once again, it was at the same time, it was another setup episode at the end, obviously, which we'll get to, where it's like, God damn it!
I thought it was a great episode because I got to see my Lord and Savior, Jennifer Connelly, grace the screen again. No, but seriously, it's exactly what I thought the episode was going to be. When we explained when Melanie first left the train, we're like, there's going to be an episode where we're going to see what she does. Since that initial episode right afterwards, we didn't see her at all. So we're like, okay, they're dedicating a whole episode to her, because if not, they would have interspliced scenes of her getting there or not. That being said, the ending was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, not like super surprising to me that would happen, but also just like, oh shit, what do we do now? So I know it's going to hop back to Snowpiercer to be like, why the fuck did that happen? But oh man, I feel like I still like how the season is going. I don't feel like there's been wasted episodes. That makes any sense. Like, it doesn't feel like filler. It feels like, but it is a lot of setup, but it's gonna lead to something. Like, that's the thing about this show.
I feel like they could have combined the two episodes before this into one episode if we're going to talk about like wasted episodes. I would agree that it's not wasted. I do feel like they could have made better use of those two episodes.
Yeah, but I feel like they just wanted to do character exploration for the fact that they're like, we can take 2 episodes to explore other characters because Melanie's gone. This is happening here, and we can do this, and then boom, it's coming back. But yeah, I mean, there are probably some people going in this episode that are like, oh, it's fine. Melanie will come back on the train. Things are gonna be great.
I never thought that. Even once.
I was just like, oh, fuck.
I didn't think this was going to happen.
No,
but
I didn't think that things were just going to be peachy keen.
Well, yeah, I didn't think it, like, yeah, I went to the thing. Everything worked. Yeah, that one signal didn't happen for weird reasons, but we're back. Everything's fine.
How are you?
I was like, even if she's back on the train, things won't be fine, because Wilford would be like, dang, I want this bitch dead. But
I loved this episode because I think Rob said it in our message chat before that we want to see more of like the before times, right? Mm-hmm. And I was really happy that we got some flashbacks, even though they were still just like on Snowpiercer. I like that we really get the reasonings why Melanie stole the train, and that she was pretty justified in doing so.
Oh, yeah.
Not justified in keeping it from the people, but justified in stealing the train. For
no,
sure.
I mean, considering even the fact that
he fucking killed people.
Yeah, and he was like, you can't let that monster control this train and all, because
even if she would have told people though, like, Wilford just shot a bunch of people outside, so I took the train without him, there would still be Wilford people on there would be like, are you crazy? He built this train. He's our savior. You got to go get him.
Mr. Wilford would never do such a thing. You're lying.
Exactly, and they toss her off the train. So.
Yeah, I did like the flashbacks a lot. The imagery when she gets into the weather station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love the thing. I love John Carpenter.
Oh yeah.
So
from the best year of movies ever, but that's beside the point.
Oh my God,
I will never let that go.
Yeah, I liked that she was dealing with seeing all these people that are important in one way or another in her life, while she's there trying to, save the world. The ending, goddamn, I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't see that coming, that they were going to leave her. I thought maybe that like it just wouldn't show up, but just to rumble on and leave her. Oh man, because it has such implications. Like, We know she doesn't have any food. We know there's like the hot spring, but that's about it. How does she survive? Because obviously they're not going to kill her off.
So
Yeah.
I'll say that the sled that she was riding on that got stuck, I think that'll make its reappearance. And she's going to use that to try and cut it off a little bit further down the track and get back on. That's the only, because I can't see them just going up, stop, all right, back up, let's
That
get
or
her.
like she survives for a little longer because the sled is able to be uncovered and she's like, now I have food. Or maybe the springs lead somewhere. Who knows?
And that's what I want to get into next. Let's talk about that because there are not a lot of ways for Melanie to survive this. So they need to figure that out. They didn't show that for anything. My theory is that those hot springs are deep and that there are people there. And this is going to be a much bigger thing than the end of this episode gave us. And that when Snowpiercer does finally come back for her and she gets there eventually, or however that happens, she's not going to be by herself.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good theory, definitely.
There's lots of possibilities. It's either going to be she sciences and thinks of a way of them doing whatever's going on in the train. Her daughter gets them to take a shorter loop back around to come get her instead of, the 2.5 fucking year trip around the world because I don't think they would do that in the show to be like, well, we won't see Melanie for another 2 years.
What if they did?
Dude,
Seriously.
that would be fucking wild.
Nah,
They'd have to pull a Battlestar and maybe do like
just
a 1
split
year later
things.
thing.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
1 year later.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, like, oh man, I loved the fact that, like, when she was hallucinating and seeing them in this episode, I like the interaction she was having with the different characters. So, like, my favorite part is when she sets up the trap for the mouse, and Leighton's talking to her, and he was like, damn, this is like something Taylor would do, whatever. And she literally reaches out and high fives him, but then it flicks so that you don't see him anymore, and she's just like, yeah. And she's so exhausted that she's just like leaning there and she rocks, and then she like realizes to herself like, I am going fucking crazy. It's just the acting. I think not a lot of people could do episodes like this where like
By themselves.
by themselves, where they carry actually the interest of the episode and make it so believable. And I really like the interaction she had, not only with obviously Wilford because he's fucking insane, and just seeing that relationship and how much he screwed her over and was like, just did not care about humanity at all. And she's like, those were my geneticists. Like, what are you doing? But the interactions with her daughter, too, where she was just like, well, Mom, like, if this is how you die, at least you, like, it was for something. It was for all of us and all these. Oh, so good. But, man, when she set the trap and she got the rat, and at first you're like, oh, she's just going to eat it. And I was just like, no, Melanie too smart for that. So she dips it in the little ink and it's like running around. And I was like, yes, Melanie, go! And you think maybe it's going to be a storage thing with lots of food. Nope. Hot springs.
Did anybody else for maybe like just the split hot second when their bodies and parts think zombies for like 1 second? Anybody?
No,
Anybody?
I was just hoping she would not succumb to cannibalism because
Me too.
I think.
don't think I could have handled
But I like
that.
the Leighton's like, yeah, now you get what you did to us in the back. We had to resort to this shit. Like, it was not good.
I did enjoy Wilford's little snide remarks to her, and he's just like, "Oh, so you have one ration bar, an arm in the fridge, and
Yeah.
So good. So good. I feel like there's not a lot to talk about with this episode.
Well, because it's not like a lot happens, but it's a whole month in like an episode.
It didn't advance the plot of the season, but it filled in backstory gaps that you didn't really know about because, once again, is that some people might have been like, all right, Wilford so far, like he's an asshole, but he got left behind and he helped build this train. But this episode establishes why you would leave his ass out there to die.
And you want to know what happened on the train because the fact that she had to feel that it was coming by, nobody was answering, and she's like, they should be within range, they should hear me. And that her daughter was already waiting at the back of the train just to see if her mom was alive and like saw her on the tracks, but like the train wasn't just going normal speed, like it was fucking
there was like
it.
fires
there was,
coming underneath
sparks
it, like
coming
something
out.
was happening.
So that's she was like, you're coming in way too hot, like what is going on? And they weren't responding, but the fact that she was like banging on the back like, Mom, like something fucking happened on the train. Either Wilford found out maybe she's not alive, or like he knew they were coming back, and then I don't know what happened, but like somebody purposely is getting the train to go too fast so she can't get picked up.
Yeah, like who's in the engine right now?
Exactly. Because Alex isn't.
And we're going to find that out.
Screaming for her mom.
We're going to find that out, I'm guessing, on Monday.
I like that they saw each other, but God, was that heartbreaking.
On the next episode of Snowpiercer.
Let me ask you this, because they could very easily do this, and it also saves money on a pretty high-profile actress. Do you think that they're writing her off for a few episodes and we're going to get a string of just Snowpiercer episodes now? Or do you think we get answers in what, like even in the next episode or maybe like 1 or 2 episodes from
Well, the
now?
question is how many episodes do we have left in the season? Because
This is episode 6.
out of how many? Is it
Probably
10?
10.
10 or 13. Yeah.
I mean, because the thing is that if you don't have Melanie in the next couple episodes, the question that, of course, is what the fuck happened to Melanie? She's just chilling by the tracks. Sorry,
Might be.
I made a unintentional pun.
Slutty
but nobody,
as she goes.
Slutty as she goes down.
That tracks.
But yeah, because otherwise, a lot of people, well, us especially, are going to be like, "Where's Jennifer Connelly? Where's Melanie? What's
Like any sane human
what
being,
is-
where's Jennifer Connelly?
What is up with Jennifer Connelly right now? Is she okay?"
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's they could easily just flip right back to the train just to show like leading up to that point what the fuck happened. And maybe she's not in the episode, but I just hope they do like a thing where like it's just split back and forth, not showing like
Yeah.
what is she doing, what led up to this, like
Yeah.
while this was happening, what's going on.
I have a feeling though the next episode is going to be this
Like
is what
just the
happened,
train?
and
Yeah.
then the episode after that
It's
will
gonna be like what's gonna happen.
yeah, how Melanie gets to the train.
I mean, the
and
writing is so good, so the fact that we're like, ugh,
Yeah.
is like, once again, any episode of Snowpiercer is still better than most TV.
Since there's a ton of talk about this, I want to ask you guys one final question before we get into our rating. Since we finally did get to see a good deal of flashbacks in this episode, is this something that you would want to see more of with characters like Leighton, with Ruthie, with
Ruthie backstory, let's go.
Yeah, Ruth, I would be. Leighton, like we know he was a
Cop,
homicide
yeah.
investigator, so there's not really a lot there because I can fill in his backstory in my head. He heard they heard about this train and such like that. All right, we got to get to this. I mean, that's once again, he wasn't involved in the building and establishing Wilford as to why he is such an asshole and why you would want him to die. So some characters, yes, other characters, not as much.
Like, it worked for Melanie because you're legitimately like, wow, like, knowing all this stuff about Melanie at this point, and then if you were to go back to the first episode of the show, like, you really get why she did what she did and, like, her importance to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's give this episode of Snowpiercer our EIP rating out of 5. Icy Bubs.
I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5.
I should say icy arms.
Yeah, right. It should be icy arms.
Icy arms.
Icy arms.
Icy arms.
Icy arms across the horizon,
Icy
Captain.
arms.
We might survive this day. We'll resort
God.
to cannibalism to fight off the scurvy. But anyway, that won't help at all, kids. There's no vitamins in that arm that are going to help fight scurvy. That being said,
5 out of 5
Give it a-
Donner parties.
yeah, 5 out of 5. Not just for the Jennifer Connelly part, but I thought it was a really cool episode. The way they executed it made it interesting. They could easily made it like a really boring thing, but to have her like hallucinate to these people, as tropey as it is, and it, not too shocking. Seeing how she like wills herself through this when anybody else would probably give up or eat an arm or do God knows what, and she just like all of her thinking, you're like, yes, you are a fucking engineer your way out of this whole fiasco. Was pretty neat, and just the ending for me was like the oh shit, because like the whole time in the episode you're just like, oh, is something weird gonna happen, other than like I get the antenna fell over and that's why she couldn't send it, but like, oh no, are they never coming back for her, but people still hope, blah blah blah. And then damn, to see that it did pass by but they did not fucking stop for her, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And the eye contact with the daughter, and I was like, no.
I have to piggyback off something you just said real quick, talking about how this could have very easily been a boring episode, because it could have been. If they're just focusing on her doing this weather station thing, like there's no episode there, and we're talking about
No
giving it,
icy
like,
Bob at all.
yeah, like a 1 or a 2. There's 2 ways to make episodes that are dealing with someone by themselves work. There's this way, by having hallucinations, which is kind of a trope for
Or
these kind of
flashbacks.
episodes. Flashbacks. And then you have episodes like Battlestar, where Kara gets marooned on a planet after crashing her Viper, and that's going back and forth between the Galactica looking for her and Kara figuring out how to get the hell
Yeah.
out of there.
But she engineers her way out of
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Puts her
So,
mouth on that fucking flesh tube and just
You know
I know.
good writing when you see it, and that's there was a flesh tube.
I realized how weird that sounded
Yes.
out of context.
Yeah,
but
I was kind of like, wait, what?
I just meant like she figured out that you can use like air as part of the movement because it was a living, breathing like organism within the ship.
Cylon
so-
ships are living and breathing in the new Battlestar.
I apologize to the audience for whatever the fuck I just said, because I didn't realize until Matt squinted and I was like, oh no.
Put your mouth on that flesh tube. I was like,
Anyway, while I'm still talking, I too will give it a 5 out of 5 icy arms.
I'll give it a 5 out of 5 as well. 5 out of 5
I'm just
fleshy
so sorry
tubes.
to Katie Sackhoff. I'm like, I don't know what I just did. The windpipe.
5.
5.
Mine. Oh, people are going to stop listening to her.
I know.
Maybe they already have. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a doubleheader episode. I guess maybe by then we'll have a lot more answers. So
Never answers.
stick around, kids. The engine will provide. Let's move on to our Raya and the Last Dragon review. Out on Disney Plus now for a $30 premiere access fee, or you can brave the theaters and go see it there as well. Rotten Tomatoes score. Now, this is interesting. I guess because theaters aren't all the way open and they're limited capacity, and I guess streaming audiences, they don't have a way to make that count yet. There's only a critic score available. So
Lame.
we are the audience score.
Yeah.
That being said, the Rotten Tomato critic score is a big 95%.
I'll allow it then.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like, they
Nope.
give it a 62.
No. I say
Fuck you,
Snobs.
I say right out the get-go, very well deserved.
Yeah, and there wasn't even a gecko in this movie. There was a dragon, though.
I just don't even.
Mother of God.
I already played that one too.
Yeah, that's not even a shame.
It's fine. We're good. Moving on.
Let's get into the film, and Brittany, we'll start with you this time. Your thoughts on Raya and the Last
No
Dragon?
thoughts, just emotions.
Just emotions.
Loved it. Okay, anyway, I will say this movie is some of the best, like, Southern Asian representation I've seen in films. I can't even really think of many other animated things that touch on these things without, doing some tropey, like, random character that's like, oh, and this one's from Thailand, or having, like, a film set there, but then you're only looking at, like, the touristy things of it, and you're not really exploring the culture. So, to me, what really stuck out was, like, I really love the voice cast. I kept, like, picking out in my mind or saying aloud the people that I was recognizing. Like, I was like, oh, I think the mom's Sandra Oh, but she's not sounding like very stereotypical Sandra Oh. Like, she's always in these more dramatic roles where she does that whole, like, oh, thing. So, it was really cool to just, the whole cast, pretty sure, except for, obviously, Alan Tudyk, pretty sure they were all Asian. So, that was really nice. It was refreshing. And to hear, I picked up on Gemma-chan, and they even gave her the haircut that her character has in Captain Marvel. So I was just like, I thought that was her, especially because the haircut. But then I heard her say like one or two lines where I'm like, yeah, that's definitely her. Yeah, I'm so happy for Kelly Marie Tran. Like, if you were not already a Kelly Marie fan, you are now. Because she just got so much shit for Star Wars and not deserving at all. And to have something like this where, like, it just shows, like, her range as an actress. The voice acting was really good. Like, people don't realize how much work goes into voice acting because you don't have your physicality there. People don't see your emotions on your face. You're putting this onto something that somebody created. So to, like, hear in her voice, like, the breaking up in her voice, like, when she's upset, or just, like, the fury, the sassiness, all these other different things, like, she was a very layered female character. And you could hear that through her performance.
So, yeah, I also dug this movie. Animation, voice acting, everything was on point, spot on. And Brittany and I briefly talked about this before we recorded. I did kind of roll my eyes at the Disney trope of dead mother and and all that stuff, and no real villain in this movie.
You and the no real villain.
Well, the thing is, it is getting a little exhausting. That's what I agree with. I love this movie.
It's the same thing. It's just the same thing over and over again. Like, make something unique and new at this point, because you've done the no villain.
Everything else about this is unique and new. We're not saying everything else.
Yeah, no, and don't get me wrong. I love this. Honestly, if I had to give it out of 100%, 95 would probably be what I would give it, just because that 5% is that, God damn it, like, there's no villain. It's the main villain is each other and our misunderstanding. Like, I get it. I know that Disney has done this stuff for a long time, but give me a memorable villain, please. I'm begging you. Because, give me a Scar, an Ursula, all that stuff. Like, I love those Disney villains. And, but I loved the movie. Everything about it was awesome to watch, spot on. The water animation alone is, like, some of the most gorgeous looking stuff you're going to see.
Yeah. let's talk about. I'll kind of put this into my thoughts as well, but let's talk about Kelly Marie Tran. For lack of a better term, or for lack of just anything, Star Wars almost killed her career because of asshole fucking basement douchebag nerds who just couldn't handle someone that wasn't like white and someone who was like just, you know, outspoken, and they couldn't fucking handle it, and they fucking fat shamed her and they race shamed her, and it was like I can't even
she dealt with literally everything you can throw at somebody in the industry. It was like sexism, racism, like fucking death threat. She literally, like so many actresses unfortunately, had to remove her social media. Like she literally
and she almost quit acting. And then you watch this movie and it's such a breath of fresh air, and she's so amazing, and her voice talent and acting is just out of this world. And to see her be strong and such a resurgence, and hopefully this just is the first of many, many, you know, films for her, because I want to see her in more stuff. If anybody saw the picture of her in her very traditional,
I was going to say the red carpet, like the virtual red carpet. She literally, you never see that.
Yeah,
nobody
just
gets to wear that.
A show of power too. Absolutely loved it. The film itself, I said in my little snippet that I wrote on the Everything is Permitted Facebook that even though this does have some of the Disney tropes in it, there are a lot of tropes that it did away with that I really liked. I feel like some Disney movies, while good, can drag on a little too long. I like that this movie was very much to the point. Like,
it did feel tight.
Yeah, it felt very tight. And when it got, like, even though, you know, Raya is, and obviously if you haven't seen it, spoilers, come back and watch and listen to this episode later. That is your spoiler warning in 3, 2, 1. When Raya, you know, accidentally makes, why can't I remember her friend's, not frenemy's name? Namara. Makes her kind of pull the trigger and kill Sisu. I think that usually that moment is so, like, there's maybe like half an hour then of like the main character going through this whole like, oh, it's all my fault, blah, 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 blah. There's none of that in this movie. It's straight up, oh shit, I'm really still in the right here. I'm going to go get my vengeance and we're going to have this cool badass fight. It was right to the point and very awesome. And the other thing that I really liked about this movie, and especially the ending, was I feel like in these Disney movies, the main character is always in, besides that trope of like, oh, it's all my fault, blah, 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 but they're always in a place of power and they always end up saving the day. And they did a reversal in this movie. She takes the first step and makes herself vulnerable and and becomes Stone. And I thought that was really unique and something that we'd never seen, got me all sorts of verklempt. You know, when Raya's like, I'm gonna give the first inkling of trust, and you're gonna save the day and become Stone, and then Namari does it. She's the one who does it. I thought that was very unique to this film, and I don't remember the last time I seen a Disney film do that. Maybe Frozen 2, because Anna kind of helps save
Frozen
the day.
1, Anna saves her sister from being killed, and then that's what.
But she's also one of the good guys, too. Like, even though Namari is, I guess, good, and it's her mother kind of manipulating her. I know we just had this conversation about Agatha.
It's fine.
Go ahead.
That's how different media and stories work, where you make one argument for one person versus the other. It's hard to make that. I was going to say, I wasn't surprised when she gives it up and hands it to Namara, because her whole journey throughout the story is learning to trust people, and the person she needs to trust the most is the person that she sees that wronged her the most. So in that scene, I think if they would have done anything else, it would have been a disservice to the story. So I was fully prepared for that to happen, and I almost was like, are you going to just, like, can you hand it to her already? Like, work this out. So when it did happen, and then she realizes, like, she's like, I just trust you guys to do this, like the dragons did before me, like, foreshadowing the whole thing. Like, I'm going to hand it to you. Like, just like the older brother dragon did, who was the supposed hero of that story. So she was like, I trust you. I'm going to get frozen until, if you do it right, I'm good. But doesn't even have to say all that, just hands it to her. And then one by one, they all trust, like, is it Raya or Raya?
I keep going back and forth.
Okay.
I'm going to say Raya. I don't know. Whatever.
I think it's actually Raya, but I keep saying Raya.
I'm going to say Raya for now until somebody yells at me. So, and then one by one, because they trust Raya that much, even if they, don't necessarily trust her. They trust the fact that she trusted, because she made the mistake when the dragon went to trust Namara. And even though her hand was shaking and it looked like she was going to pull it, the dragon knew deep down, because she could see into her eyes, into her heart, that that wasn't in her. She's just doing what her mother wanted.
Yeah.
So if Raya would have trusted in that moment, at least what, is it Sisu?
Yeah, Sisu.
What Sisu saw, I knew that was going to sound weird, and not have reacted, it wouldn't have caused her to get shot to begin with. So it's just one of those cool moments that it, like, the whole story kept, like, foreshadowing and building up to, so that when it did happen, you're like, ooh, chef's kiss.
I also loved Awkwafina as
she's so
Sisu.
good.
So good. So good.
I love how she was, like, literally, when in human form, she was Awkwafina.
Yeah.
Like an old Awkwafina.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is wild.
Yep.
I honestly, and I'm glad this didn't happen. I was kind of dreading that there would be another almost like Mushu, like character
like
with this, like the wisecracking sidekick dragon thing. That going into this movie, I was dreading. I was like, please, for the love of Christ, do not have another Mushu character.
They had some goofy jokes, but at
They
least
did,
like,
but
when they did happen, I was like, this is corny for the kids, so
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really happy too that the trailer, like, there's that trailer where she's like getting the gang together, and that actually happens in the movie. Sometimes, like, they do that, but that's not what the movie's about at all. But it's like she gets her little gang of dudes together to like go get all the stone pieces, and it is almost kind of like a heist movie, and I really enjoyed
The heist
it.
part killed me because the music, before it even begins, the music starts up and I'm like, this is fucking heist music.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then it was like doom, 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 and drops down the map, and I was like, this is a heist. They're planning a heist. This
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Because that Rick and Morty episode, man.
You son of a
every
bitch,
time
come
you
in.
can feel when the heist is coming, and you're like, here come the tropes. Let's
Yeah.
go.
No,
The only thing that was the weirdest to me was just the con baby.
I love the
That was man.
I get it, but at the same time, I know why they ended up making a baby. They probably started with the monkey idea first because they'd be good pickpockets and everything, and but then the dude missing his child later, they're like, let's make the con thing a baby though. But it was just so like weird to me. I know it's fantastical in nature. That was the one thing though that I'm just like
takes you out of it.
But
A little
Yeah,
bit.
I was like,
I
this
thought the same
weird
thing.
con baby though. Like this baby can't even talk. So like,
And it's like doing all
to
these little
understand
emotes and stuff like that.
or to understand these like very complex like stealing things is just odd to me.
Do you know what scene that really got me as far as like, wow, this really feels like a heist movie? When she gets the con baby to distract the guard, and she goes up and she's like, wait, where's the
Yeah.
guy? And it's like, oh, I'm the flower guy.
guy.
But okay, then where's the other? Oh yeah, he's right there. He's in
Yeah.
stone, and I'm like, oh shit.
It's the
I love
heist
that.
plot moment where you're
Yeah.
like, things are going really well. Oh, no, they're not.
Yeah. And it's like the little old lady who's the bad
Yeah.
guy, and I'm like,
I think the execution is great. Like, even if there's some things that like you see coming from a mile away, like the way they're done is so enjoyable that you're just like, I love this.
yeah.
And obviously the animation is gorgeous. The overall like plot and the way they go about doing it makes sense. And you know, all these people are divided, and you're like, they just got to come back together and be one.
Well, they start like, because you can obviously just looking at the map, they start at the
Oh, yeah.
tail and just just go
Yeah.
all the way to the fang.
And the
to
fact
end,
that,
so.
like, even if stereotypically the parts, like, you're like, obviously the tail's going to be the arid desert, like, the spine of the world. That's what they call in D&D the mountainous cold
Yep.
region is the spine of the world.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I love how they took each thing and, like, the fang, they're going to betray you,
Isn't
fight
that the
you.
same thing in
And-
Horizon Zero Dawn too?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But that's what I like is that, like, we're so used to these fantasy concepts that you're like, oh, yeah, and it makes sense. Talons, they're going to steal from you. Like, I
And
was like, this is
going
cute.
back to Horizon Zero Dawn, they're literally the people called the fucking Talon. Like,
Yep.
come on.
It was Horizon Zero Dawn in Thailand.
Yes. Hey, I like that.
Malaysian. Zero Dawn.
Let's talk about the animation, because I don't think it's a stretch to say this is maybe Disney's best animation yet.
I think it is.
I would actually, and this is something we'd have to maybe debate, is where Disney's animation studio versus Pixar are
Yeah,
at this
right.
point, and like if they go head to head, like who produces the better animated
Right.
movie right now.
Like you guys already said, the water, for one, is
It was
insane.
just really gorgeous.
But this is a weird thing to focus on. But did you guys see the hair in this movie?
Oh yeah, the
Hair's
hair is
a big deal with
flawless.
like getting things.
It's
right
always
in
the
CG.
next stage of like animation is
This
how,
is-
how does the hair look?
This is the best hair I've seen yet. Like, it looked real. I was
Mm-hmm.
convinced.
Yeah, you're like, is this a doll right now?
There's also the moment where the Khan baby, is flying over her with the monkeys.
Yeah, it's like,
and she gives this look, and I swear it's Kelly Marie Tran. Like, it's...
Oh, they might have mocapped a bit and then had people just, like,
It was
match
amazing.
it.
Like, it was so good. The reason I want to talk about the animation so much is, as we mentioned, I believe, either at the top of the show or in our WandaVision, everything gets mixed up now. All of the animation was done from home. All of it. This movie was made at home, which, I mean, talking about video games not having money, Disney probably sent them all like the most powerful rig that they probably could have gotten. Maybe not. And this is the result. So I think that's pretty amazing. It also brings up a bigger kind of just world issue is,
why can't people work from home?
there it is.
I know. Like, that's, I mean, the voice acting industry has been the same thing. Like, most of the time you go to booths and studios because of the specific equipment, it's already set up, and then the people there, like how you have the Rodecaster right here, are able to like mix and edit and fix things while you're there live. Like, that's why it's a thing. But at the same time, ever since it started, voice actors have still been able to voice from home because most of them have the same equipment, or maybe they've had to get some. But to see how much is still able to get done from home, it's like, yeah, we live in a really weird society where we're like forced to go to somewhere. Most of the time, work a job we don't like for 40 plus hours a week. Some people, you know, it's ridiculous amounts a week, maybe multiple jobs. And you come home, you have like what free time for yourself to enjoy what hobbies, and it's just crazy. So it's like, if you have a job where you can physically, I guess, do it from home, whether it's like computer or whatever, this pandemic has shown people can do it from home.
And I think
but
it's
pay
going to
them
be,
also.
I think it's going to be something that comes out of this pandemic and becomes an issue, because I think more workers are going to request and strike maybe, and, you know, say we can do our work and maybe even better at home.
Some people can do it better from home.
Yeah, I mean,
Matt,
listen,
not quite.
no, not.
I
It's okay, though.
unfortunately, so in my experience, I'm one of the vice presidents of my union, and I deal with people and union concerns and stuff like that. And I can sadly tell you, most people are not going to have that reaction.
Yeah, like they're going to go back to work.
They're going to go back to work.
Because they're going to be forced to.
They're going to be like, oh, I'm just thankful to have a job. And most people don't understand, like, even the history of labor relations and how we got to this point and the things that it takes to get things that you, because yes,
yeah, it literally takes people dying most of the
like
time.
in an ideal world, like, yeah, people would go on strike and say, oh, I can work from home. Why am I coming in to do this? Why do I need to sit in a cubicle and do this job when I can answer your
It only
goddamn...
works in France and other countries where they habitually are able to do strikes. But in our country, like, I mean, look, even when Black Lives Matter protests happened, the amount of people that couldn't even go to the protest because they couldn't afford to leave work because they'd lose their job, even for taking like a day off, like, it's insane. We would fight more for our rights if we were even able to physically take time off to fight for them.
Here's a better example of how like modern striking like breaks people is the NFL, which has like millionaire athletes. They got broken after a few months, like years ago. Like they just weighed them out and just said, we know you're going to run out of money eventually. Yeah. And boop, they ran out, and they basically their union had to come crawling back to the table and say, all right, what are you going to give us, please?
Yeah.
So yeah, not so we kind of delved into the little political side of that a little bit.
But I think it was something
it'll
important
change
to
certain
talk about.
industries,
Yeah,
or
sure.
certain industries will have to develop like a hybrid model to do that. But it does open up one thing. A lot of jobs have been unavailable to people who are disabled, and it's been like for bullshit reasoning. And the pandemic did prove that a lot more jobs could be worked from home, or like, you know, even at school, like they can teach online, as much as that's a whole nother issue. The fact that a lot of these things, even in college universities, disabled students would have to show up to class, do these different things. Exceptions weren't made because it's, not cost effective, whatever. You're just one student out of like the hundreds, whatever I teach. And now across the board, you realize how easy it really is to provide these services for other people, or to allow people to do these things from home. So it'll be interesting.
It will.
I will say one thing about this movie. Thank God, I really love this. As much as I love some of the music that Disney does and some of the soundtracks, I am so glad this movie just didn't have music in it. Like, I don't think this movie needed music in it. Like, there's some stories that I think you can tell without having it be a musical.
Are you? Oh yeah, I was about to say, are you talking about like the musical?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
okay.
obviously, it has music. It needs to have like
a score,
and the score is really good. And it
James Newton Howard.
Yeah, and it is really cool how the different regions had different sounds, as much as, like the desert still sounds like a desert, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was cool to hear like just different sort of instrumentation than you would normally hear. As much as it's the same sort of like fantastical movie, you'd think you'd hear the same fantasy music, but it is different. It's more cultural in a lot of different instances. And it was just nice. I was like, I'm glad I just like, she doesn't have to be singing, because I feel like we were able to, that's why she was able to do more in the movie. They could keep it concise. She had to travel around a lot, and it's just like...
They didn't have that moment where she's floating down the river and she's like, my emotions are running. Yeah, that's scene, yeah.
Homoerotic tension with my rival.
I was about to say, so
that is, but I knew going in when I like, because if she would have ended up being gay, I would have saw everywhere online. They would have been like, "This is the greatest LGBT representation ever." So I knew it couldn't have happened because people saw it like weeks ago and nothing got dropped. So I was like, "Yeah, Disney's not going to make that leap." That leap of faith.
Do you think that they made the leap without saying they made the leap, that they're leaving it to people assume, or they're just being fucking assholes?
That's just Disney being Disney. That's the thing about subtext and stuff. It's that a lot of times, especially like writing groups, they will write certain things into the characters because they want that vision. They did that a lot with She-Ra before it was ever able to be confirmed until the final season, when DreamWorks was like, well, yeah, I guess, because you wrote it in there. We can't really undo it now because you built this up for seasons. The amount of like tooth and nail people still have to go through just to tell really basic stories. But that being said, regardless of if it's ever confirmed or not, the subtext is there. You can pick up on it if you're looking for it. But the mutual like sort of that like bond and connection they have with each other is really important, and I think it's beautiful, and the way it's done is awesome. It would be so easy. Take one minor thing to just make it gay. Like if Disney would have allowed it or let it happen.
Because Karen, after she was in the kitchen and she was coming back in, she's like, I just want to make sure it wasn't me. Was that movie really gay? And I was like, yeah.
The trailer, the first trailer they did for it. When you see like their like few seconds of them like making eye contact rivalry and they like fight with swords or whatever, a lot of people like, I even retweeted and I was like, did anybody else pick up on a lot of homoerotic like tension? Like, is this gay? I was just like, that is just from seeing a few shots.
Yeah.
So, but I like their story and learning to trust each other. Well, I mean, like I said to Karen, I was like, it's the enemies to lovers story we want, but they're just getting out of the enemies phase.
She-Ra.
So it'll build. But She-Ra took a few seasons. They only got one movie for this.
Anything that we want to talk about anymore with the story, voice acting? Because I mean, it was all
top
so
tier.
good.
I did like a lot of, I mean, I know they showed a lot of the food in like so many different places. Like they pulled from so many different South Asian countries. So there's so much you can pick up from everywhere. And it's, I mean, as much as you even get Asian representation in media, like there's so much less even for like South Asian. Because honestly, the darker the skin someone has, the less representation they have. That's just the thing. The closer to white you look as an Asian, the more you'll appear on screen. We all know that. So I have a lot of friends and people I know or follow that are also, South Asian or, half South Asian from various countries. And to see the overall reaction to this movie and to see like, oh my God, she looks like me when I was younger, or like, my parents used to make me this, or, all these amazing things. And
it's a celebration of it. It's really
beautiful. It's like what Moana did as well. It was a combination of all these Polynesian like cultures that had to happen, but at least the overall story, it gave some sort of representation. So that was really nice to see. And I like that even the designs, the pattern that the dragons are flying in to resurrect, we already said spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But to resurrect Sisu, it was the same thing. You see that pattern in a lot of like South Asian things, like whether it be tapestries or whatever. You saw how they were like painting in the beginning. So it was like so nice to see even just patterns that you're like, cool. It's not just, they didn't throw like random Chinese shit in there just because they're like, oh, it's Asian. I'm like, no, cool. That was Thai, obviously. Like that was Malaysian. That's cool. Like that was, I don't even know what else. Like there was so much shit in there.
There was a really good like inside joke though. Like if you've ever been to any kind of like, whether it is a Chinese restaurant or any kind of like Southeast Asian restaurant, and they always ask you to make sure, do you want the kind of spicy,
Well, yeah, the
mid spicy,
super hot.
or super
Yeah.
hot, and they double check because like
They're like, you white people hot or are hot?
thank
yeah,
you
no, that's
exactly.
It. They're like, you see 3 chilies on here, but you
Yes.
don't understand what our third chili
Yeah, because
means.
there's a yes, exactly.
I love when they write on the receipt too, and they're just like, "Fuck this white boy." Oh, like you'll see people screenshot it later, and they'll be like, "Or he wants hot, give him white people hot though," or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
it's so great.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Oh, this was such a good movie. It was such a good movie.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it again. It's one of those ones where I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
I love the characters.
So go ahead.
It still kind of sucks they're charging the money for it rather than putting it on the service. But
I'm going to disagree this time.
Because it was good.
Well, one, because it was good, and two, it works out. The money works out because you guys got to come watch it.
Animators get paid.
Animators get paid. Geneva and her kids.
And it was
come
good,
to
and you
go
know you're going to
watch
watch it 80 times.
Exactly. And Cecily was like, I'm going to watch it today. I'm going to watch it
30
tomorrow.
divided by 80? You're good.
I'll take it. I'm not gonna complain about it this time. I will side with you halfway though and say they need to decide whether they're going to use this model for every movie or just some, because
Yeah.
they didn't do it for Soul, which was really fucking good on the level of this movie, but they do it for this. So I'm like, you got to pick.
which movie do
Yeah.
you prefer, this or Soul?
That is a really hard question. I love
I
both
think
movies.
As I said, it's
one.
if you're talking about a battle between Disney's animation and Pixar now.
Well, as far as like, okay, so Soul was Pixar.
Yep.
This was Disney animation.
Yes.
Disney animation. I love the animation in this movie over Soul.
Yeah, I like both really well, but I did have some problems with certain aspects of Soul, so this is the better one for me. This one I would watch over and over again. Soul is really beautiful, a little emotional draining, so I don't
Yeah.
think the rewatch is there, but
It would have to be with
yeah.
something like
I have some qualms, but you guys already heard them in another episode.
qualms.
Just some minor racial qualms,
Yeah.
but then this one, none of those.
Yeah. It's a true celebration of
Like they
Southeast
didn't
Asian
have
culture.
Tina Fey be the fucking dragon, so that was nice. Yeah, Aquafina.
There's one more trope that I'm really happy they didn't go with. She did have a living parent at the end. He's back. The dad is back.
But we knew when he turned to stone, he would probably be brought back. To
Yeah,
life.
true. But still.
but dead mom. It's always a dead mom.
It's always-
There's
there's always
always
a
a
dead
dead mom.
That is like seriously the only exhausting thing where I'm just like, Disney, just give them parents. Like they can still go on these ventures and have these.
and they can still be strong women and strong
She could
men
have
and strong people.
both parents just get turned to stone.
Yeah.
That would have been a whole thing. Like now she's alone in this world. She's got to do this. This person she thought was going to be a best friend betrayed her. Like let's fucking go.
Pretty sure Brittany just said breast friend, but I'll take it. I'll allow
Best
it.
friend. Whatever. I mean, when you're gay, they are your breast
Oh, my
friends too,
God. Oh man, I love it. I love it. All right, guys.
When you have a group of breast friends, they're a titty committee.
Let's give Raya and the Last Dragon our EIP rating out of 5 dragon stones.
I'll go 5 out of 5. I know probably everybody is. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to be 5 out of 5 because it did not drag on at all.
I was gonna try and come up with a really witty Brittany level pun, and I
You
just
can't hold this one up to a mirror either. Nothing else will match in quality.
I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 because this movie just had so much heart.
Nice.
There
Nice.
it is. Heart. Yeah. Just if you haven't seen it, this is the one that I will say. If you're gonna spend the $30 one time on Disney Premium Access, this is the one to do it on.
Or just wait until like 2 months they
Two
make
months,
it
I
available
guess,
and
yeah.
people get pissed off.
Matt, this is definitely a steelbook buy.
No, I've actually been buying all
Yeah.
the Pixar Disney animation
Yeah.
steelbooks as they come out. So
Yeah.
Animation.
Animation. All right,
My stomach is
guys.
rumbling.
That is the end of our show. We are taking a week off. We will be back in 2 weeks with our, it's the beginning of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We'll have a double feature Snowpiercer review, so stick around for that. For Matt, for Brittany, I'm Julian. I say to you, have a good night.
You can find Everything is Permitted on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Everything is Permitted is produced by Rob Bigliaccio, Nikki Veazey, and Geneva Stein-Shivers. Our executive producers are Michael Cox, Brittany Tomes and the Tomes family, and Julian Brown.